Okay. Nice. This is probably the hardest part. Or not the hardest part, but this is the part where you can mess up. You just need to make sure that you grab the actual top layer of grip tape and not the top layer of grip tape and sensor. So I'm starting to pull back here. I'm cautiously looking, and I can tell that this is definitely just the grip tape and that the sensor layer is still staying down. If the sensor layer had peeled up a little bit, you can push it back down. However, there is a very, very thin layer of plastic on top of the sensor layer. If that thin plastic comes up, it's really hard to push back down, and it could cause some issues. And so if that happens, we recommend to just pull off that top layer of plastic. A lot of people do that anyways. It's up to you. We always recommend going with what Future Motion, had created, but I didn't apply any heat, just pulling off. I'm not pulling up with the grip, I'm pulling backwards. I like to tear off this back area first, then pull it off of the front because there's slits inside of the sensor that could get pulled off or get damaged. So these are those slits. So just be careful when you're pulling right here. That would be a problematic area. Everything's good there. That's really it. Just use common sense when removing it to make sure that you're not, pulling off the sensor. So you need to remove this backing. It's kind of a pain, but you just got to pick at it. If you don't have fingernails, then you may need to use an X-Acto knife or like a razor blade. I recommend not to remove the whole entire backer. Just peel off about 1 inch to 2 inches exposed on this back side. Sometimes it helps to kind of crease this so it doesn't get in the way. Come up here, line it to your back edges. If the adhesive that we use, if it gets stuck, it can get pulled off and reapplied. If it's done within a few minutes, don't try to pull it off a couple days later. You may have some issues. May not, but may. You want a good light so you can actually see the sensor. It's a little hard to see, but there you go. Picked it up. Got this. Flattened it out. Now I'm going to come back and start pulling this off very slowly and working my way up. If you get any air bubbles, just work them out through this perforation that we've laser cut into it. goes. We always recommend too getting on your app and checking the sensor engagement after you do this, just to make sure that there's no issues. As you can see here, the left and the right side has proper engagement. You can also see this in the app, or you can just do it visually with the light bar. Everything looks good here, so I'm going to move on to the grip tape after I turn off the board. All right, so for the rear, what you're going to want to do is, once again, peel back this, 2 inches or so of the backing, crease it. It's pretty important because with this foot pad, you're going to want to line this up with this perimeter line, not the outer perimeter, but this inner perimeter line on this foot pad. And so to do that, you're going to want to start with this back, make sure this front doesn't touch yet. The standard GT foot pad and the low boys are actually the exact same grip tape cutout. So what you're going to do is, once this is all lined up, press here, just out. Yep. It doesn't have to be perfect, just on the rear, because there's no sensors. But just push these out, get any of the air bubbles out. If there's like a crease or a fold here, it's not going to matter. The hexagon grip tape or your street tread is going to cover all that. So basically, with your within your street treads or anything like that, we usually recommend taking off the bottom piece and just installing it from the front of the foot pad down. Also too, on these inner pieces here, since they get pulled out, we do not remove the backing off of it, so that they can be removed easily afterwards. So all of our grip tape comes perforated also, which has holes so that if there is any air bubbles, it'll get pushed out during install. Don't really ever press this in too hard yet until I have all the pieces in, just in case you need to pull it up and reset it. It's the last piece. Now, to me, everything looks perfect. So now I would come in, slowly press everything, or lightly press everything. Then when it's on, you can give it a good press. Now you'll want to remove the center pieces. Now you come in, press it all down really good, each piece individually. You want to make sure it's pushed down. And then at the very end of this process, you're going to want to actually slap the foot pad. You're going to want to slap the front sensor so that it'll engage it again in case if there's any sticking. Like this, support the bottom of it with one hand, and literally just smack it. And that's it. Then, once again, turn it on. Make sure if there's like a yellow light, that means for some reason something's engaging on the sensor. That could be several things. It could be you got some grit or something underneath the grip tape on top of it. It could be a plethora of things. That's why be sure when you are doing this, make sure it is a clean environment. Make sure that sensor is completely clean of any adhesive residue or anything like that. But as you can see here, I'm testing it. Now if I ever squished it and it stayed down after I released it, that would be an issue. So you can see that's not happening. So we got some good engagement. And then boom. Good to go. And then this should stand up better than Hex in theory. Just kind of setting it in place right now. We'll do the last piece. Everything looks good. So I'm gonna slowly, lightly press it down. Once I've kneaded it all down, nice and firm, now you can pull these off. Then once again, knead down each individual piece.